So first of all, I got to start off like Peck and say, as he said, it's Peck. It's Liesl, people. You know me, okay, Kate? It's Liesl. I feel so privileged to be here, so thank you so much for the invitation. I have to say, when Kate and I were going back and forth, at first I had to say no because I do not know how to express how many things are on my plate right now to all of you. So my reaction was, there's just so much going on. And then I was really excited when the governor came back a couple of days later. She's like, Liesl, I really want you to do this one. I'm like, yay, I get to go do this one. The other reason that I was really excited for this one is because in a lot of my presentations, I've spent a lot of time explaining myself. I know a lot of you, so that's a really nice thing. So thank you so much for having me here. Governor Whitmer was really excited for me to come and just tell you all that, hey, Michigan is in. Isn't that exciting? So like Peck was the science, I'm the policy. So look forward to having this conversation with you. And I know you all can also understand that we are on, month 1.5. So I've stopped counting the days. I feel like we're beyond day counting. But it is still early. And I'm looking forward to having this conversation and figuring out all the ways that we get to work together. So a little bit about myself. Kate did a nice job with the overview. I've spent 20 years at the intersection of food, water, and energy in both the public and private sector. So I'm very passionate about that intersection, and I think that it's become clear how the governor's vision lays all of these pieces out and how they will intersect with the executive orders and the work that their office has done to kind of set up where things are going. So I'm looking forward to talking to you a bit about that and giving you a description of what's going on in Lansing, but I'll get to that in just a second. So as many of you know, I have spent the last 8 years at Five Lakes Energy, organization, a business that Skip Press and I founded, and we're quickly joined by some fantastic partners, including Douglas Jester and Jamie Scripps, and then some other awesome people that are in your presence, like Laura Sherman and Carl's not here, David Gard, some other folks that you know. I'm really proud of Five Lakes. I'm proud of Five Lakes because I come from an entrepreneurial family, and because it's something where we were passionate about a mission-driven business and passionate about providing good jobs to people in that mission-driven space. And so I feel really great about that, about what I grew in my time there. However, I'm also really excited about the opportunity to work back in the public sector and help be part of where Michigan is going. So a little bit about what's going on in Lansing now. I think there's a lot of opportunities to work together. I've had some meetings on the outside, I'll say, for the first 90 days. I'm following the lead of Chairman Tallberg at the Public Service Commission and focused very intently internally. I think that in order to do the best job I can leading this department, I have to spend time building the foundation of relationships with my colleagues in the department and figuring out a real depth of understanding of their programs and where things are going. I'm fortunate to be surrounded by some fantastic scientists, engineers, and experts. There's a lot of knowledge to build on from that organization. But I have to take the time early on to really capture that and allow that to shape my thoughts about where we're going. When I've talked to the department, I've said, I don't come with a strategic plan. I come with a strategic process. We're going to all talk together. We're going to figure out how to build our shared values, and then we're going to build the mission of where we're going. Now, of course, that's in line with what the governor wants to do. When I started talking to the governor, I had the good fortune to work for the governor on the transition. So I was the governor's policy director to transition the departments. And at that time, we started having a conversation about, where was this part of her world going? I knew that our policy lined up with each other because we've known each other for a while, and I knew kind of what she thought, and I knew what I thought. Where I started to get really excited was when we started talking about our commitment to state employees and to our colleagues in state government. That's where we started getting very animated. There's a lot that she's done on behalf of state employees and that she looks to do going forward. And that's where we both were starting to get really excited. And I thought, well, this is a really fantastic opportunity because of how she's seeing this future align. So in my early days with the department, I've been focused very internally. I've only taken a few external, so really excited that this one was on the list. But I've done that intentionally, and I've also created opportunities to have conversations with stakeholders, but know that there's going to be more of those once I kind of get my footing. So what I found early in the department, the types of requests that I've gotten from folks, I think are pretty consistent and parallel with what you hear in other places. We really need to work to be consistent. We really need to enhance communication. There's a lot of opportunity internal to the department to do more communicating, and a lot of opportunity external to the department to do more communicating. One component of that is collaboration and making sure that we're having more conversations earlier so that we're not reaching points where people are confused about outcomes. I think that one of the things I've tried to express to the department already is receiving comments is not a dialogue, it's receiving comments. So we have work to do. That also doesn't mean that everything will always end up exactly as everybody wants it to, right? Because there's a lot of different opinions and, you know, there's statute to follow. But there is back and forth that's necessary in the course of this discussion. So collaboration and then reliability. So thinking about what the structure is that we're working within, communicating that, and then being true to that ongoing. So some of the things that I've been hearing early. And I look forward to working with all of you on that. And so one of the places where I think we all need to be thinking together is there is a lot of work to do. I'm sure you all saw yesterday that the governor did sign a new executive order. So that's exciting. So just to give you a little bit of background, I don't want to assume that everybody understands what these executive orders do. So there's three really that we're dealing with right now. The first one was a recreation of the Michigan PFAS Action Response Team, and I mentioned that because I know all of you understand the important connection that, you know, Peck just outlined, right, where energy and water overlap. I like to put food in there too because I think that touches on our ag world and how all those pieces come together. So, you know, water is a critical foundation piece of what we do at the department. Again, around the foundational work at the department of protecting public health and the environment, you know, it's water, it's energy, it's these pieces together. So the PFAS response is really important. It's really important, and we need to do a better job there. The executive directive recreates the Michigan PFAS Action Response Team. However, it's a little bit of a different angle. The first thing that it does differently is it seats it in a department as opposed to sitting on top of the department structure. That's important because it creates more answerability, if that makes sense, because it's seated in a department. The other thing that's important in a difference is it raises the elevation of affected communities. So like there was a scientific advisory board, there's going to be an enhanced affected communities conversation as well. And so that was something else that we thought was very important in dealing with that. The second piece of paper that she signed was the executive directive joining the U.S. Climate Alliance, which is really exciting. And both of those took action last Monday when she signed them. I'm getting my days confused. I think it was last Monday. It was the Monday before. Anyway, it goes pretty fast. And then, of course, we had an executive order that was overturned by the legislature and then re-signed yesterday. So just to talk about that executive order for a second. There are a bunch of pieces in there that I think are really important. A couple are structural changes. So one is the Agency for Energy comes to the new department, and that becomes the corpus of what becomes the Office of Climate and Energy. And of course, there are a lot of climate pieces that happen across the entire DEQ right now, and we've been having discussions about how do we knit all those pieces together to make sure that we actually have a outcome that is greater than the sum of its parts. Another piece is the Office of the Great Lakes coming back from Department of Natural Resources. Other than that, broadly, the department looks similar from a structural perspective. There's some other smaller things, and then of course takes on the new name of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy. Please go with me on EGLE, okay? It's not Deagle, it's not Beagle, it's not Meagle, okay? Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. So that's what that looks like. And then there's some important new roles, too, that you'll be hearing more about in the near future, but you certainly can go take a look at what those roles will entail, like a drinking water public advocate, an environmental justice public advocate, and an environmental justice task force. So we look forward to working with all of you on those pieces. So, a couple of things I just wanted to point out before I get the hook. The first is I've had an opportunity as a director to sit at the State Emergency Operations Center, and I asked a couple of questions. I unfortunately was there the first time because it was activated, and that it's a bummer when it's activated before you get a chance to get the overview. So a couple of questions I asked. The first was, what's the thing we should be most concerned about? And that is some sort of nuclear challenge. And that is the department's in the middle of that because of our division that does the work in the radiological place. And so that, means that the folks on my team are really critical. And then I said, the other question I asked was, what will be most prevalent? And they said, that's flooding. Hands down, it's flooding. So just to reinforce what you heard, it's been flooding in Michigan because Michigan has a different water table and because, it is our state. We have a lot of water, but it will be flooding going forward. Again, another part that, all of us are very concerned about and intertwines with the work that we do. The other thing I wanted to mention to you is you have a fantastic resource in Kara Cook. I cannot say enough good things about her, and I'm trying hard not to swear into the microphone, but I've said I'm going to do it. I've said her business card should say she is the shit, because she is really fantastic. That should be her title. So I just want to tell you that as well. And then finally, before I leave you, I also want to ask for your help. Really appreciate all of the work that we all have done together to get to today. I think that this packed room that had no more room for registrations is phenomenal, and I think it demonstrates how much passion and interest there is, and I think it is indicative of what we can all do going forward. So I want to thank you for being here, and I want to ask for your help. We have so much more work to do. I am excited. I agree with Peck's perspective that there's so much opportunity here for all of us. However, we need to shape where that's going. And so I just want to leave you with a quote from Dr. Monahana Atisha's book. There's a little bit of the solution in all of us. And so I look forward to finding that new Michigan with all of you. Thank you.